Hello guys, so I've been asked to look at the weekend event draws and give you advice on which week you should actually be investing in. So here are the patch notes that we currently have, and they're giving us who are going to be the characters for the following 2 weeks. First of all, you got to know that the legendaries are going to have low drop rates, so you shouldn't be waiting too much on their end, but I'm still going to point out which ones are important, and I'm going to explain based on the 5-star players which ones you should be looking for. So the first thing is we have Erica. She's an Andor player with a global Andor buff. In my eyes, she's become pretty nice since they updated her, but if I was running a mono Andor team, I would actually scout her and get Elaine using my crystals, as Elaine is a season 2 and it's going to be much harder to get, and she's got buffed again and will make a huge difference in your front line. Now, on the Thunder level, we have Guinevere. Again, Guinevere is a season 1, so she is scoutable. She's a pretty decent totem in front line. I would honestly say I used her a while back, and if you're running Thunder or even multiple elements, she's still not bad to have. MX54 Butcher got changed. In my opinion, a Thunder midline still doesn't have use for him because it just have some really great players there currently, so I wouldn't go for getting him. Now, on the Whirlwind level, we have Ernesto. He's actually not bad. He has kind of a Milky Way attitude with having bonuses when he does action, giving a bit of crit and critical damage, and again a 30% reflex when he maxes out the fact of moving. But compared to options like Elaine, Metatron, or anyone you're going to usually try to put up there, I'm not really sure he would be the best one unless you're running a mono Whirlwind team. Then he'd actually start being pretty interesting. So I would go to throw him there if you're running a mono Whirlwind team. Now for Iru, if I remember correctly, he is scoutable. I'm not really sure it's the best upgrade and he's really that great, but again, it's going to depend what your endgame idea is. But if you're going to choose one of the Whirlwind ones, I would go for Ernesto. Now Light, this is going to be very easy. Milky Way is a very common season 1, while Cheetos is much harder to get. Milky Way is rainbow and can be used in basically any front line or back line, but Chitoge is season 2, very hard to get, and requires your backline to be mono light. So unless you're trying to run some sort of mono light backline, you don't care about Chitose, and Milky Way is pretty nice, irrelevant of your element. On the dark side, you have Patricia and Jonas. I'm going to say both of them are pretty disappointing. Even when well stones, they seriously lack. Patricia is a very good dark totem and she has some elemental resistance, but I still don't feel that she's excelling as a totem compared to a lot of the other ones. And Jonas is decent again, but since there was the infinity limitation, the action bar has been limited, it just feels like he's losing his potential and you can't actually stack action bar, so he's losing a lot of value and I wouldn't advise getting him either. Now on the legend wise, first of all, irrelevant of your team, and I'm just going to say this right now, all legends are good. Now, I'm not saying you should stick them in your team, but just on a chain principle, it never hurts to have one. Leviator is the Thunder Striker. Again, he's highly advised for mono Thunder teams. He doesn't do as well in Rainbow teams. Vonchi does not care what team you have, you just need speed. Jin is the Whirlwind goalkeeper. His only weakness is when the other team is running a William, basically. He's really strong, and he can even be used as a backline defender if you prefer to use him as a totem. And Duran is basically more broken even than Vonchi with his penetration debuff. So again, having any of these is pretty great, and I would advise changing your team formation based on the legends you have. But the thing is, the chances of getting these are pretty low, If you have a Wormwind mono team or anything Wormwind-ish, I would advise just saving for this week for the luck of maybe getting one of these. If you don't, or you're running mono Thunder, try to get this, and if not, there's 2 legendary strikers in 1 week. You got a better chance of getting one, because legendary strikers make a pretty big difference, and the more you're going to go up in PvP, the more you're going to realize basically everyone owns one except you, and that's why you're losing. So to recap, if you're running a mono Andor, you're going to want to go on the 2nd week. If you're running mono Thunder, you're going to ideally want to go 1st week for the chance of Leviator. If you're running mono Wormwind, you're going to want to go again 1st week for Ernesto. Mono Light, Chitose, mono Dark, Patrica. If you just don't care, or you're a Rainbow, depending on if you got a striker or not, I would advise the Elaine. If not, try to get a striker in the 1st week. I hope this helps people understand what you should actually draw and why it's important to not just say, I'm going to draw, there's an event, I might get some cards. You're actually going to think strategically when you're going to spend your crystals. I hope this helps people understand how they need to decide when to spend their crystals. Have a good day.